where
Yes, we did.
Lee talked about, and Lee actually, I think Lee actually introduced me to a video. I think it was a lady who was talking about it. It was at the video, I think, and she's talking about how you innovate and create friction, but that friction creates the environment for new ideas and taking small risks. And in fact, today I was in my leadership induction, and data analytics person was talking about fail fast, learn quick, and I thought that was really cool. And they were taking all these little risks, trying little things, and I think what you talk about, like experiments. But this all came off the back of everybody getting together and sharing ideas, and so that's what I really want to talk about today. And supposedly, I'm going to ask you a question because you're really heavily into this, and I'm going to got a little diagram I'm going to reveal a bit later about how we need to how we can start building it. But Lee, you talk about this a lot, and you did a lot of stuff. I think you probably still do a lot of stuff around this. And I know you had a little project going on, which was really great, and I think it's still got a tail of it. I think you said about earlier. But do you want to just give us a little bit of a example of how you? I mean, synergy is the habit, but how you collaborated and used, people's ideas, even people you don't agree with, but built new ideas off the back of that, and how that's affected and how effective that was. Anyone?
Sorry, we had a slight glitch in our YouTube there, so I was momentarily distracted, but it's a good moment to say, if you want to join us live and there isn't a glitch, just as for Jose Noya-Inspiration Nation on YouTube, we are trying to drive up those YouTube numbers, so please hit subscribe. It helps us, and you will get notified when we go live each and every week. And of course, there's loads of people with us right now on TikTok, @JNoya_Inspiration Nation. Join us live there too, as well as getting to see Joe's handsome mug every single day. So is this my program I used to run, Joe? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, you don't run it anymore. Is it now its own thing now?
Well, I do. It's I don't know. It's kind of amalgamated into the whole job. But anyway, I just wanted the context of what I was talking about. No, I still do. I did one in February, I'm going to say. The last one. So the place that I work, I run an ideas, change, innovation forum type thing. And the whole idea is to kind of get everyone who wants to be involved in change, thinking about doing things different, bringing ideas to the table, talking about ideas, discussing ideas. So yeah, it's an idea I came up with. I say an idea I came up with. Obviously, lots of places and people, businesses do this type of thing. This is an idea I emulated and brought into my place of work. I'm going to say 6-7 years ago now, Joe, maybe something in that.
I have the original video.
Oh, do you?
I think I put it on YouTube. Obviously, it's very private. I've not released it. It's just there, sitting there.
I saw it somewhere recently.
You had your suit on and everything. It was brilliant. You had your suit jacket on.
I looked like some sort of 1990s newsreader, didn't I? It was a bit wooden.
It was brilliant, but this is the whole start, right? But it also was a bit dark, the video, I remember. And I look back, it's so dark, that video. Anyway, carry on.
Not as natural in front of the camera as I am these days, I would say. And that was part of it. But it was that. It was just, it was running roundtable sessions, getting people in the room, people talking about ideas, hopefully getting people involved in then supporting bringing their ideas to life, not just thanks very much and leave the room again. And it was that, it was engagement piece and ideas piece and looking to bring out innovation. And one of the things I was very deliberate about was the tone and the setup and the structure, if you like, and bringing different people in, making sure people felt comfortable, that whole there's no idea is a stupid idea, but really encouraging people to bring outlandish ideas and different ideas. And actually, even if it's something that I would disagree with, or more so if it's something that my instinct said we probably can't do that, we're still encouraging the conversation to talk things out and see what comes from things and run them through. So there's a structure you can bring to these sort of things that, again, it encourages innovation, word you said there for Joe, and collaboration. It is difficult to say, it wasn't just you. And working together, and people not being afraid to throw out an idea that might not be a good idea, just to get the conversation going and not feeling judged about it. And those being some of the kind of principles that are applied. And I'll say the back end, Joe, so it probably doesn't tie into what we're talking here, but one of the most important things is then the follow-up, is being really disciplined and making sure there's then a follow-up, people can see what's happening with things, and actually, months later you revisit what was talked about. I do this now, so I say I run these probably 6 monthly, and one of the most important things I do is when I'm gearing up for the next session, so probably a couple of months out, so 4 months after the last one, is to reshare what was talked about and give an update on where that was and where that's gone to, and keep, you know, building up a catalogue so people can see that, you know, these things do go somewhere. It's just sometimes they take a bit of time. That's probably a longer answer than you were looking for, but hopefully that gives you something to work with.
No, I think that's a really good answer, because I think the follow-up is really important, because if I shared an idea and then no follow-up and there's no mention of it later, then I'm not going to be participating, because I wouldn't think that my idea is valued, right? But even if it wasn't taken up and the idea was, say, we couldn't do it, but this is the reason why we couldn't do it, then there's much more investment, because I'm willing to put forward something else, right? So I think it's really, really important. Also, it's talking about like the coaching element of that is follow-up is, okay, where's the timeline? Where's the line in the sand, and when things are going to start happening? Because again, without timelines, it never doesn't happen. So I think, you know, almost you're looking back down the mounting action steps are all critical for, you know, making these things happen. And this is what synergy is about. So in the book, Stephen Covey, so I was having a read of it, talks about nature and how, you know, even nature works together. So if you've got two plants, he talks about in one of his, in part of his book, two plants to get together, their roots intertwine, and because they're working together, the soil is actually more fertile. So they grow stronger when plants are together. No, some, you know, so what I'm trying to say here is that we should be doing more of this. And what I can give you an example of what I'm actually trying to do at the minute, and everyone here is that I'm passionate about coaching, right?
Oh, really? I did not know that about you. No, I did not know that about you.
So at the moment, I am trying to really build this coaching culture, and one of the steps I've taken to build synergy and to build collaboration is to actually, because at the moment I'm trying to bring all the coach, not just the coach in our businesses, or the business the business I'm working at the minute. You know, we all have coaches, and coaching is a real thing, you know, now. It's quite a corporate word now, but it means different things to different people. But what I'm trying to do with our coaching is, one, is the coaching we're doing real coaching, and two, how do we get all the coaches together? Because synergy is about working together, right? So what's happening at the minute? We've got coaches in one area, coaches in one area, but they're working great and they're doing their work, but they're doing it in their own areas. They're not actually cross-pollination, I call it. I don't know if that's the thing, but
I like it.
I want them to cross-pollinate. Because I think, you know, something that could work in one area is probably going to work, it might work well in another area. And likewise, if one area's got a problem, someone may have already come across that problem, solved it, and then could pass the best practice on in a coaching way. So what I've developed is I've used teams, and what I've done is I've put everyone through a program. It's a program that I run at this company I work for, and anytime anybody goes through that, there's probably about over 100 people in this community. I set up a Teams chat, and now I've set that up, and now we're sharing ideas in there. I'm asking people to share stories. And so what I'm trying to do is get people to help each other through a coaching community. And so that is what that's what I'm building at the moment. And that, for me, is part of that synergy piece. And even when I'm running these sessions, I'm asking people to contribute and be honest. Because another part of synergy is actually to accept that not everyone's going to agree, and, you know, how you deal with disagreement could be it could either block you coming up to an even better idea and building an idea, or actually, you know, if you start to go, well, I want my idea to be the best idea, then that's when you block synergy. You've got to work with those ideas and build and build and build until you come up with something maybe that's actually totally unique, built off the back of maybe disagreement, but it's respectful disagreement. So off the back of that, I do have something that will help. It's like a diagram, and I quite like it because you've got here. If I put it onto the counter, people can hear that. So you've got cooperation and trust, and on there you've got the 3 levels there. So really, what this is talking about, how we get high levels of trust. I'll just search TikTok as well quickly, so you can see. I'm going to just hold up for a second.
That's good. And just to describe that out quickly for those that are listening, Joe.
Yeah. So
a graph there. Yeah.
So down on the, is it called the cross, the axis, the cross, the vertical line. You've got high trust, and you've got high cooperation. But if you've got on one side the high to low to high,
yeah,
and on the cross axis you've got low to high. If you've got low low trust and low cooperation, you get defensive win-lose. That's when, if you present an idea and then someone wants to trump that idea, say, oh, I don't really like that, I'm going to do this. That's when you don't get anywhere, because you're trying to win and they're going to lose, right? We talked about win-lose in the previous episode, so it is about everyone trying to get to a win-win scenario, because then we can build and build and build. Even if we're disagreeing, how can we then get to a win-win so everyone's getting something out of it? Then there's the middle part, where it's the trust, where it's like in the middle of trust and in the middle of cooperation, sort of the middle part of this diagram, which is called respectful compromise. Now, that still can work, but the thing is, if you're compromising, you might be giving in just for the sake of, I just want to agree, right? So it's about shaping ideas and shaping conversations, so you're still bringing the best of your idea to actually build something that's better than what you thought of in the first place through those disagreements and challenges, right? And that last step of this is the high level, high trust and high cooperation, where you get they call it synergistic win-win, and that's what you're aiming for. I'm not saying that's easy. I'm going to just display that again. So that's really where it is. So if you are listening, it might be worth going to the YouTube channel and just having a look at that. So that's what I mean by that. Now, it can be very challenging. I think definitely in coaching it's challenging, because people have different ideas. But so that's really where I'm coming from on that. And as I say, so for you, Lee, have you got anything going on at the moment where, because I think one of the hardest things that we can get challenged on is where we don't necessarily agree with someone. Hello, stop motions. Okay, if you just put the question in the chat, stop motions, I'll do that. I'll put it into the podcast. Is there been any time when you're at the moment, Lee, where you don't agree with someone, but you've got to a place where, even though you disagreed, you did create something great? Is there any examples you can think about where that happened?
Yes, for a simple answer, but I don't know. I'd put a slant on the disagreement to an extent. So I'm currently working on a large project in my role, and a big part of what I do is about understanding what the needs are of the business, and then looking at solutions and ensuring those kind of solutions get delivered and come up with the outcome that's needed. And sometimes that's me going away and coming up with ideas and saying to people, is that right? A lot of the time that's reaching out to other people and finding out what their needs are, distilling where the business value is from that, and helping support come up with solutions. So quite often it's not even whether I disagree, I might be almost neutral to what the idea is, and I'm there just to kind of draw out the best of people, understand what it is they really want, sometimes help them understand what's wanted. And within some of that, I have come up across, especially where we're implementing technology that brings sweeping change, and there's certain things that have really challenged certain practices that I've held for years, and actually we need to completely re-look at that. And I'm almost kind of at the forefront of having that change in mentality, and then hoping others then follow the way with me. So I've had to really challenge myself on it, and actually where you do open yourself up to other ways of doing things, where you, even if almost it's tried and tested that something doesn't work, being able to revisit it in a different context, I think is a really good way to start bringing stuff forward. Just not writing stuff off the table straight away, not being afraid to experiment. So I've been doing a lot of that in the last year, and I have had times where I've had people who've got very different views on the ways to do things, and actually you kind of end up with something that's incorporates different elements of different people's ideas, and I think that's what brings the best through. I think you very seldom do the best ideas come from one person who does everything in a dark room themselves and comes out with this fantastic thing at the end of it.
Yeah, I really like that, because the whole thing is... Go on, are you going to say...
I was just going to say, I think there's probably a time 10, 15 years ago where I'd have thought, no, going in and just coming up and being like, this is it, is what to do. But that's definitely not. It's the whole collaboration piece just makes things better.
Yeah, and I think there's a bit of vulnerability in that, isn't there, as well? Like, being open for you to change your perspective, and accepting that actually, that your way may be a little bit outmoded, but actually how can you build on that? Maybe not entirely scrap it, but it might be that you need to rethink something that will make it even better, right? Some old paradigms, I suppose, and that vulnerability is
Paradigms is a
actually.
good word. I like that.
Do you like that?
I
Yeah, yeah.
do.
It's these old scripts that we have that we, the way we've always done it, right? The way we've always done things, and we get into a pattern. And this sort of thinking and this sort of synergy will actually, when people say, "Oh, we should try this," will actually make you look at your patterns and your paradigms and actually think, "Oh, maybe I need to like revisit that and actually what you're talking about, change the way I'm thinking about certain things." And that can create a new way of thinking and a better way of thinking, an improved way of thinking. And that's why we need that friction. And actually, that vulnerability piece talks about that trust and respect. So when we talk about that diagram, the trust is like when you're vulnerable and you say, "Hey, look, I've tried this didn't work," or, "I'm open to change," then you build trust and say, in fact, in one of these sessions I had today, I was actually talking to people. We talked about leadership today. I had a leadership induction that I run, and I was being open and honest about the mistakes that I made in leadership. And when I did that, you could see the trust build in the room. And I do this quite a bit because usually you have to build trust. You need to go first with being vulnerable, and then other people will start to pile on that and start going, "Do you know what, I've done this?" Because that's another thing that Stephen talks about in his book. Be honest about where you are, and what you're failing at, or what you failed at, because other people then say, "Do you know what, I've had trouble with that," and a lot of times, a lot of people have had the same challenges. Thank you for the likes, by the way, Stop Motions, and ask a question. I really appreciate it. So I was talking about, in fact, I'll tell you what the example was, and this created a great discussion. I actually remember running a team, and I said, I don't know if I told this one before, but I remember there was a person in my team, and they were not performing very well at all. This is a story I tell quite a lot of my leadership inductions to say, "Hey, look, I'm running this session, but by all means, I am still learning, just like you." And this person wasn't performing. So what I said to them was, "Your failure is my failure." And I don't know, Lee, can you guess what happened as a result? Can you guess what happened to their performance when I said that?
Oh,
Lee's gone off
I've
camera
broken
now.
my camera. I'm still here though.
Are we
I'm
still there? All right. Okay. Can you have
I'm
anyone have a
guessing.
guess?
I'm guessing, Joe, that their performance either stayed where it was or maybe even got even worse than it was in the first place before you had that conversation.
It did get worse. And what do you think they did when I said, "Oh, when I sort of not challenged, I suppose the word was when we started to review the performances." I think Lee's back. Well, I can't see him. When we started to review their performance, what do you think what do you think? What do you think? Where do you think they? What do you think they thought they said the reason was for their continued low performance off the back?
Just for those on YouTube, I'm just sorting my camera out. It's all gone a bit squiffy.
He's all
There we
right.
go.
There you go. There you go.
That'll do
There you
for
go.
now.
There you
God,
go.
almost had to do this without seeing my face. I would dare say, Joe, that they would say it's not their fault, it's your fault. Because
Yeah,
you've already
that's
said...
exactly what happened. What I did is I took accountability away from them, and they clearly just said, "Well, it's all your fault." They didn't have to do any work, right? So that's one of the stories I tell, and when I tell that story, I start to get other people talking about what they are great at. They weren't great at what they've learned, how they've learned. So going back to this whole piece about synergy, it is all about being vulnerable. Try and accept that you're not gonna be right quite a lot of the time, and being open and creating that win-win scenario and building on people's ideas, because once you hear their idea, you might incorporate a bit of your idea. So the whole point of this is to build an idea that's off the back of both your ideas, so you get something that like you said, like Lee said, a lot of time your idea is not going to be the greatest idea. It's when you merge the ideas and start discussing it, that's when the good idea comes. And actually, in the book, he talks about when they did this synergistic thing for a corporate mission statement. They actually went up high into the mountains, and they started talking about this mission statement. But what they did, they were very vulnerable, they were very open and honest, and they created an environment where they could just really, really be honest about what this mission statement should be. And you should go read that, because it's a really inspiring piece of the book. So yeah, really, really enjoyable. So what I want to do really is I want to sort of just go through the last bits of this book, because there's some great little activities, and I think I'm just going to list these for you on this book. So some suggestions on synergy. Let me just read them to you. So this is going to be quite challenging. So if you are listening or you're watching, write these down, or rewind the video, or pause the podcast. But I'm going to go through them. So number one is Think about a person who typically sees things differently than you do. Consider ways in which those differences might be used as stepping stones to a third alternative solutions, i.e. building on the ideas. Perhaps you could seek out their views on a current project or problem, valuing the different views you are likely to hear. Number 2, make a list of people who irritate you, and then go with, do they represent different views that could lead to synergy if you had greater intrinsic security and valued the difference? So essentially that's what that's saying, is that can you get their views? Can you be certain of yourself and take that constructive criticism and build from there? And that you are security centered, that you can deal with that feedback or the challenges. Number 3, identify a situation in which you desire greater teamwork and synergy. What conditions would need to exist to support synergy? What can you do to create those conditions? And I think this goes back to what you created, Lee, with your project, and it's something that I try and create in my training sessions. That element of trust where people can feel that they can say whatever, and feel that it's not going to go anywhere, and actually be trusted that it can be taken and go. It won't be, what's the word? Pulled down, and that it will be listened to. And the last one is, the next time you have a disagreement or confrontation with someone, attempt to understand the concerns underlying that person's position, address those concerns in a creative and mutually beneficial way. So what he's saying there is, you are then trying to create something that you can get a solution that doesn't criticize them, but you're trying to get the win-win, so you both benefit from the conversation rather than having the butting heads and one's got to lose. That's what he's saying there. So address the concerns in a creative way and mutually beneficial way, so we both try and get the win, though it's quite challenging and quite difficult. But there you go. Any thoughts on those exercises, Lee?
It's really lazy to say I agree with them all, isn't it? But I like how
I do. It's okay. Remember, we've got to trust, right? If that's what you think, that's what you think, right?
But I do think they, and I think we might have talked about this last week, and it feeds into another idea I've got for another podcast. But it kind of challenges your kind of that human defence nature, doesn't it? So I think there's something in there where you've got to be going back to a very, very old podcast, Joe, going to say like episode 14, 15, maybe somewhere around there, the whole conscious competence model. I think you've really got to almost remind yourself to do some of those things, and keep reminding yourself and catching yourself and almost replaying interactions you've had to make sure you're doing them until they get into your mind and you're aware of it and they become things you do more and more naturally. And it's almost practice makes perfect, I think, with those ways to try and force isn't the right word, but push that mindset into how you are.
So it's really interesting you saying that as well, like, because I actually did that. It was probably about 3 years ago, where I think it was an Evan Carmichael video, and I don't know, I think it's one of his videos, but he sort of said to people, like Elon Musk seeks out real, radically honest feedback, right? So when I was first doing these these videos where I was doing one every day, I wanted to, early days when I was doing one a day, I actually did seek out someone who was not on board with coaching at all. Don't believe in it, don't believe NLP does not work, none of it. And I thought, and everyone come up with this, ask someone, where do you suck? Where were you terrible, right? And so I did seek their opinion. I said to them, where is it that where do I suck? Or where is it that I'm absolutely terrible? And when you launch that vulnerability and seek out people that are opposed, but you sort of open up with vulnerability first to say, hey, where am I really, really bad? The first answer that came out of their mouth was, you're not that bad at all. It's just what I would change is this, or what I would change is that, which I thought was really brilliant. Almost like by opening up with that vulnerability, usually if I talk, I think this is really great, I'm not going to say the name, they'll know who they are. This is really great, we should do this. They would just go, no, that's just terrible. They would then rebut with their view, right? But because I opened up and said, where am I really bad? Or where do I suck? It was like, well, you're not that bad. this is, but I would just actually one of their feedback on the videos. Actually, can you put can you put a label on the video so people know what it's about? And of course, I do that a lot now on TikTok, and I label the video. So, you know, so people when they watch the video on the TikTok, or whatever, they can actually see, oh, this is about change, or this is about vulnerability, right? So on TikTok, you'll see I'll always put a little headline about what the video is about, so people can just select which ones they are, and those little bite-sized things. So when I do little clips of the podcast, that's what I put. So I learned from that the synergy of get the feedback. Oh, this is quite good. Try the feedback, and ever since then, look at what's happened. There's a lot of blowing up going on with these videos at the moment because they're actually on YouTube. We are getting loads of subs, especially on shorts, and the shorts are made of those little TikTok videos.
They are, aren't they? Yes.
So that's just a little example of where I actually did seek out someone who really opposed what I did. But how I did is I really were open up and vulnerable, and actually left myself open to a whole attack, which didn't happen. And a lot of time that does happen. That actually people will not be as critical. They will actually give you something constructive to work on. So there you go. That's the synergy for me.
I like that, and I think that just the way of reframing that question gets you a totally different response. I love that, and like you said, you're creating that environment of being able to work better with someone through the way you're framing the questions, which is brilliant. That's a really good thing.
And we would not, honestly, we didn't agree on anything. Like I say, coaching's great, this is great, and every time I sort of framed it in, oh, this is great, we should do it. No, I don't believe it at all. It's rubbish. It's just a load of tut. It's all like da da da, da, you know. And they'd always find information that rebuts it and things like that, you know. And but when I framed it in that way, it was totally different. So I really, so this stuff works. Just to say, it works.
100%, Joe. 100%.
So anyway, that was my little story. Thanks, Lee, for that.
I love that.
Actually, I've got Greta Queen. What's going on here? This is a podcast, Greta Queen. Don't forget to rewatch. Go on, Lee. You're going to say something.
I was going to say, head over to inspirationnation.org.uk. You can find out all about us and what we do. And of course, like people are doing now, Joe's shouting them out. TikTok, @Noya_Inspiration. YouTube, just look for Jose Noya Inspiration Nation. Hit subscribe, follow, and you'll find out when we're live each and every week and be able to get in on all the bite-sized content during the week too.
How do I do it? This is good. I don't know how to do it. What I'm trying to do, actually. I just want to say Stop Motions, thank you so much. I hope you're still here because they sent, essentially, almost 3.3k likes. I don't know how they did it.
Fantastic.
We got 3.3k likes on TikToks, which is brilliant. So thank you so much. We really do appreciate you. It's massive, so that's really nice. That's obviously going to get our live out there. So thank you for liking on TikTok. That's brilliant.
100%.
Absolutely brilliant.
We appreciate it. Right, Joe, that was a great thing. I enjoyed that. That is 6 of 7, is it not, on Stephen Covey now?
So don't forget, get the book. I suppose I should just do a little bit of a play. There you go. So if you're listening, it's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I've had this book for over 20 years, and it's principle led. It never goes out of date, and the more you grow, the more you need to read it because you'll just get different lessons from it. So just keep, it's one you can just reread and just think, oh, I haven't done that for a while. Let me do that. In fact, I've not done that thing for a while, but I probably need to do that more. So again, you've got the little action steps on there. So let us know how it goes.
100%. Speaking of growth, follow us on Twitter @ListenToIN. It's in TOIN, and again YouTube, TikTok, everywhere else, and check out inspirationnation.org.uk. Tell friends and family about us. Get them to listen. Retweet our stuff, hit like, leave a review. All of those things, they are what help us grow. It gets us in the algorithms, it pushes it out to more people, and it helps spread the message of inspiration. And on that very self-indulgent, shilling note, Joe, I would count us down, but you look like you're about to say something, so I don't want to cut you off.
No. I'm just waiting for you to end this because I know you're about to do it. So off you go, Lee. I'm just waiting for my moment to do the whole nation thing going on.
But he's getting all excited. 3, 2, 1. Inspiration Nation. Catch you guys later.
Thank you, TikTok. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Recording stopped.
Thank you for the likes. Massively huge. Thanks for likes. Thanks for YouTube. I don't know if YouTube's still going, but thank you.